cheap but charming. And today we are doing something totally different. No crafts, no activities with seniors in mind. Today we're talking about self-care. This is National Activity Professionals Week, and we know that all activity professionals and lifestyle directors have really had a challenge considering the pandemic and facilities being closed to the public, and they have really struggled to try to keep seniors active and engaged while they are in quarantine in their rooms or in their facility. And it's become challenging day after day after day to think of fresh new ideas. And I know that they probably go home frustrated. So what we're doing today is we're doing a little bit of self-care. Self-care is so important. It's not selfish at all. So today what we're going to be doing is the 5-minute contour. We're talking about makeup. That's right. So whether or not you're really into makeup, or whether you consider yourself just really into it and you're really familiar with products, this is Cassidy Quila. She is an office coordinator here at Affinity Hospice, and she is also our resident makeup guru. She does special occasion makeup, and so I invited her to be our guest today and show us some very, very simple techniques about contouring, because it was something that was so confusing for me until I finally watched enough YouTube videos to get it right, but that takes time that we don't all have. So Cassidy is going to give us some tips, tricks, and tell us about some simple products that you can buy that are cheap. You know that's right. This is Cindy Faust. She is an office nurse here at Affinity Hospice, and she has agreed to be our model for today. So thank you, Cindy. We appreciate you being a good sport.
Okay, so we're gonna do a really quick 5-minute contour in bronzer and blush. This won't take long at all. If you're on the go, you're going to work, you don't have a lot of time to sit there and perfect it. This is a really easy way to just finish your makeup look, but do it in a timely manner so that you're not running late because you're trying to perfect it. It's just really quick and simple. Start with your normal skincare routine, which is like moisturizer, whatever it may be. You could put primer on, and then you want to do your foundation, and then after foundation you want to put a powder on to really just kind of set it, and then that's when you go in with all your powder products that we're going to use to bronze and contour. Okay, so when you're contouring, you want to do it in a 3 shape on the face. So you want to start right here, right where your cheekbone line is, but the idea is for it to be kind of like this. So you're going to do it on your temples, and then it's going to come into your cheekbone line, and then it's going to come into your jaw. And this way it just gives you a really sculpted, put together look. So I'm going to use this brush. This is the Morphe brush. It can be really any kind of brush you want to use. I just like to use one that's more dense but still is soft, because you don't want anything that's too harsh. That way it's not scratchy and it blends it out a lot better. And that way it also doesn't make a line on the face, because anything that's too harsh, it's not going to look natural. And when you want to contour, you want to make it look more natural. Okay, so we're gonna start doing this on Cindy. So I'm just gonna dip my brush into it, tap off the excess, and then I'm actually gonna start on her cheekbone line. And the reason why I do that is, this goes for any kind of makeup look, whether you're doing eyeshadow or whatever it is, but wherever you put the brush first is where the most pigment and color is gonna be. So you don't wanna start up here or right here, because you don't want it to be too harsh, and it's a lot easier to blend it out if you start on the cheek. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna start, tilt your head up a little bit, and you're just gonna kind of do kind of like a swiping motion, but then you can also kind of rotate it a little bit, rotate the brush, and you don't wanna be too heavy-handed with it either. So you're just gonna keep kind of building it up to however you wanna do it, however dark you want it. And then when I'm doing it, I kind of start to take it up here a little bit. So you're just gonna keep blending it so that it doesn't look harsh, because the last thing you want is a harsh line on your face. And I'm going a little bit slower so you can see, but when you're actually doing this, it is really easy to do it pretty quick. So it does fall under the 5-minute contour and bronzing. You're not taking too long with it. Okay, so when it looks about like that, that's where you want to leave that at. So then I'm going to take a little bit more, and then I'm going to start on the temple. So I usually start where probably like the hairline is on the top, like outer part. So I'm gonna start right here on her, I'll show you. And I'm just gonna put my brush down and then kind of start blending it out. So I'll always start on the outside and then I'm gonna kind of like bring it in a little bit towards the middle. I just wanna do it like that. And I'm gonna keep going back in to get more color. Again, place it right there. And then I'm gonna kind of drag it down to connect it with the cheek. Okay, and then that looks pretty good, so we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna get a little bit more. And then to do the jawline, we're gonna start right here and then go out like this. So again, I'm gonna start on the outer part. And I'm just gonna blend it in like this. And again, you wanna be really, really light-handed with this, because if you're too heavy, it's gonna just either leave the makeup right where you try to put it, or it's just gonna look super, super harsh. So you just wanna be really, really gentle with it. Okay, and we're gonna leave it like that. So, Cindy, how long have you been with Affinity Hospice?
I've been with Affinity Hospice almost 6 years. I'm a nurse, and I do admission coordinating and seen patients in the field for a while. I love Affinity Hospice and working here.
I'll leave it like that. So now we're gonna use a cooler toned shade. This is the actual contouring part. And the reason why you want to do a cool tone shade is because it's going to create that shadow look. So the bronzer kind of just adds warmth to the face, and then you're going to want to go in with the cooler toned, and you're only going to put this right along the cheekbone line. You're not going to put it everywhere else. We just put the bronzer. You're just going to go put it right here. So I'm going to put it right here. And I'm using this one from NYX. This is actually a blush, but it's in the shade Taupe. And so a lot of people like to use this for the contouring shade. This is really good for fair skin tones as well, because it's not gonna be anything that's like too dark, but it's gonna be just a cool tone shade enough that it's gonna create that shadow. So again, and I'm taking this little brush. This is another Morphe brush, but you can use whichever one. But this is actually just a really small, dense contouring brush. If you have like a really thick, like even eyeshadow brush, that's kind of like short bristles and dense, you could use that as well. So I'm just gonna use this, tap it in there, and then I'm gonna go right on the very bottom part of it. So I'm gonna start back towards the hairline, and I'm gonna bring it inwards. I'm gonna start here, and we're gonna bring it in. And again, I'm just doing a circular blending, buffing motions, just like that. And again, you can keep applying and going back for more product to get it as dark as you need to, or however you want to do it. But you're just going to blend it right underneath the very bottom part, and then that's going to create that shadow. So I'm going to leave it at that so that it's not too harsh looking. But that way it just created that shadow, and then she's still got that warmth going on, so it kind of just brings it together. What made you want to work in hospice care versus working in another setting?
Well, I think hospice care is personal to me. I've always enjoyed taking care of elderly patients. Prefer elderly patients over, younger people for some reason. I don't know why. That's my calling. But it has been personal to me because both of my parents were on hospice, and I've seen the good care that hospice nurses provide, and that's why I chose for my parents to be on hospice. And the end of their life just have some purpose and some quality to it.
Okay, next product I'm going to use is I'm going to just throw some blush on her real quick. I'm not too heavy-handed with blush. A lot of people like a lot of blush. Some people like just a little bit amount of it. I'm just going to do a little bit, and I'm going to use an angled brush like this. Really, it could be any kind of shape. I know some people like to use the one I used for the bronzer. They like to use that one too. It doesn't really matter. Just anything that is soft bristle because you don't want it to be harsh or scratchy. So I'm going to dip into this color. This is just a Maybelline blush. It's more of a cooler tone blush as well. I don't want to use anything that's too orangey or too pink, so I'm using something that's kind of more mauve toned on her because she is fair toned. And so whenever I do blush, I like to start towards the hairline, like I did with the bronzer and the contour. And I'm just going to put it a little bit above it. You don't want to put it where you put the contour, and you don't want to really, put it where you put the bronzer. You want to kind of put it just a little bit above it. So I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to do the same circular blending motions. Like that. And then I'm going to go back in with a little bit more. And then when I'm doing it, I kind of bring mine up a little like that as well, just to kind of blend it in to everything else that I just put on there. And that just gives it like a really pretty flush of color. So I like doing that. When you get the hang of this, it's really so easy and quick to do it. It doesn't take long at all. And so this is just a great way to bring some color and some life to your face, and also bring in that dimension and that warmth.
So what made you want to come to work at Affinity Hospice?
Well, I was looking for a job, and then I learned about Affinity, and so I thought I would give it a try just to see if I liked it, and I actually fell in love with it. I couldn't imagine myself really doing anything else. I love talking to the families of the patients themselves. It's just something really personal about it, and getting to know them and getting to know like their story and everything. Is just really rewarding. Even though I am behind the desk and I'm not, face to face with them and getting to really see them, I'm still getting to contact with them, communicate with them, and I really do enjoy it.
Some of my favorite things about hospice is we are a family, and I consider this my work family. And when I leave at the end of the day, I always tell everybody, good night, my work family. And I really enjoy it, and this is personal, that we become a family here, and I so like that.
I agree. That's what we got. If you wanted to, you could go an extra step if you want to bring in some kind of a little bit more radiance, if your skin is kind of dull looking or anything like that. I go in with something like this. This is just a Laura Geller. Really, it's called a highlighter, but it's kind of just like a really sheer shimmery pink color. So I'm going to use this as like a blush topper, just to kind of bring in some light on my face. But I'm just going to go in with that same blush brush, and I'm just going to dust it over it. Just like that, right where I put the blush. And it just kind of gives it like a really nice glowy look. And that's it. And that's just an optional step too. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it when I do my makeup. So